welcome back to another review and feedback. Today we have a StarCraft 2 game. Of course, that's what we always talk about today on here. With a Zerg player who's having trouble with Mech. This is a MMR range that they're having trouble with somebody that is 1,000 MMR below them, beating them with that style. Which means that essentially whenever they see it, they lose at their current MMR. That being said, it's a 4.6K player. That's just shy of GM. For those of you that do not know, you can get into GM at 4,750 question mark. It's in that area. Point being is that they are so very close to getting into Grandmasters. One of the things that they struggle with is the sun burning their eyes as they try to talk on YouTube. Joking aside. They are struggling with Mech from Terran. So we're going to go ahead and review that today. I figured you guys would enjoy something that I play occasionally, as well as some higher level play. We've done some lower level for a little while, so we're going to come back to the high level stuff. So we're going to go ahead and jump on over here in just a second, and we'll get right into it. Now, this is a game that was submitted with the differential being shown of about 1,000 MMR. So the Terran is a Diamond 2, Diamond 3, Diamond 2, more specifically, player. While the red player, I am going to annihilate this name, Raphalation, I guess, in the red Zerg. And then, of course, the Mech player that we're going to see here from, oh my goodness, another horrible one for me, Ikaruga, I guess. I really don't know for sure. But these players are the Protoss. Sorry, Protoss is not in this game. This the Zerg appears to be playing a hatch first. They did a 14 pool, or 14 hatch, excuse me, and then an extractor trick. I've seen this before. I think this is a newer style. I don't know how much more efficient it is to do this build. I like the 17, 17, 17, 17, 18, 17, the 16, 17, 18. Like, I like to get that first Overlord out before I get my hatch down. Terran generally, key is a word, always a keyword, generally doesn't do a block, and if they do, you can just head over to the far location that you're going to place your third, and it'll slow you down a little bit, but not enough to really end the game unless they're doing a 2-base push, and you just be really attentive to when they're going to push out for that 2-base, and making sure you are really, really on top of your queen production and link production. This is a very safe, I don't want to be blocked build, so you just need to be aware that it's not a bad thing to get blocked. I mean, it is a bad thing, right? It's not great. And when you get to the upper echelons of play, like GM or Pro, having that delay in time is going to affect your play style, your timings, everything. But when you're in a Diamond League or in the Gold or whatever level down below Masters, grabbing that third, it's not really going to hurt that badly unless you're looking at very, very specific follow-ups. The Terran did a very defensive build, which with basically a command center first on the high ground. This is a very slow build. I have a feeling that they play very scared, or at least in this instance, they played very scared. Double Marine coming out, gonna kill this Overlord. Go kill the Overlord. Okay, I guess not. A couple of Lings running across the map. This is one of the benefits. You get a little bit earlier Lings, but the problem is you don't get speed for a very long time. So you're gonna have a Reaper that's going to take this out, assuming the player is strong enough to do that. You can also see that they got 3 Marines out by the time 2 Lings are going to come across the map, which, realistically speaking, is not a good situation with regards to that kind of play. The other bit is you need to make sure that they don't have that third. I think the Overlord poked over there. You want to put it on the high ground just so the Marines can't come out and snipe it. Bunker defensive, defensive, defensive. It is a mech build. We know that it's a mech build based off of the submitted information, but just be cognizant of what your opponent is doing. So, sneak in the Ling over here if you can, or be kind of like looking to see where you can sneak in an extra information. If you don't want to do that, you want to protect yourself from a run out or whatever. This is great. This Overlord is an optimization, so you don't lose 2 Overlords because you usually put one at the front, then one over here. This choice to use Lings instead, I really like it. It's a really good idea. I said silent. Why is my phone making noise? Sorry. This is a great way to be able to sneak your Overlord in, see what your opponent's doing, and have a good idea at about the right time without actually having to have a second Overlord on the other side of the map. Downside is that you don't have that Overlord floating here any longer, and that those usually tend to sit around a very, very long time, at the very least into the 4-minute and change mark, so you know what your opponent's doing. It is Mech. We're going to find out the Zerg is going to find that out very shortly. That's what this Overlord is doing. The Scout didn't really touch the front. I would probably try and bring it towards the front so you have a good idea that your opponent's doing. That way you know if you need to protect yourself for Banshees. That's what this looks like to me. So making sure you don't run into that situation. Your army value is a little high for what your opponent has. You've done a really good job of scouting, but you don't need as many lings and things that you have built. 25 military units is... well, it's queens and you're building roaches. Depends on if you're trying to do like a roach attack or something like that, then sure. But otherwise, I think it's a little bit much, especially if you're closing off the gate here. If you just put down an Evo chamber, you can plug that hole with a queen. You don't need all those roaches out and about, especially since you don't have upgrades. You're not on layered tech yet. All that good stuff. Losing that Overlord's kind of painful. What you need to do is, as soon as you know you're sending that Overlord in, build a replacement or two, just in case, to make sure so you don't like accidentally hit a supply cap, which is what you're sitting on right now. There is a bunch of drones building things and stuff. That's why you see the loss in supply cap overhead, an extra hatch, extra hatch, an extractor, some spores, so on and so forth. But you also scouted the tech lab, so it's okay. I don't think it's a bad loss with that Overlord. At this point, tech-wise, roaches are really, really powerful, and you know they're going Mech. Mech is very slow, so grab your 5th. As soon as you can afford it, grab it. The reason being is you know your opponent's going Mech. You saw they're going Banshees with it. You saw that they were doing like some goofy Mech stuff. Time to take and abuse that. Put more lings or burrow them out there. Make it really annoying to expand, because if a Mech player gets a 3rd base, they can overpower. They will make it to 200, and you're going to be on the priority list of being able to push into them. So the point is basically you're going to try and deny or at least slow down that 3rd as much as possible. You want to do some things to make it so that they can't take full advantage of Mech. Some of the things that a lot of people like to go after is like they'll do 1 round of mutas because that'll shoo away the Banshees. It makes it so all of the ground units that they have to mix in extra gas spend, and that way their Thors, their tanks are a little bit later because they're going to have to do cyclones, or they have to delay upgrades or what have you. So mutas, while not ideal, are a great way to make it so that you take advantage of your opponent's immobile nature, because Mech cannot, for the life of them, move very quickly unless they're going Battle Mech, and if they're going Battle Mech, they're very fragile. So the Roach build, you want to build really, really heavily, and then you can protect yourself from that situation where you're going to have a very different composition that you're used to. Like this Overseer could see exactly what's going on with this entire army composition. At this point, you know they're Mech. Grab all the hatches, make it so that they have to come to you. Spend all your money on hatchery expansion and production, because you're going to need it. Especially if they do get to that 200, you let them establish their 3rd, they're going to get there. This Heron is also placing a whole bunch of walls really effectively. I really like the double layer wall. I do really like how they are continuing to do the Banshee play. I love high flight rotors. It gets away from Yutas. A lot of other fast units like Hydras can't catch them. So they come in, they can snipe like a layer or rather a hatch or something like that, and then get out before anything else happens. So as a Zerg, expand, get that drone count up as high as you can. 93 is a beautiful number. I love it, but you're oversaturated, so make sure that you spread appropriately, which is what you're doing. I don't think I really need to comment too much on that because you're already doing it. You also know they're going to go to Mech, so you want to start building your Infestor power and Neural Parasite. The reason being is they'll shut down Thors and tanks very, very effectively, and those are your biggest complaints as roaches. Banes are not the play against a Mech player. You just can't. The only way you're going to be able to use that is if they expand out and they don't put down a planetary. So you have to be very cognizant of your army composition. This isn't a bad one. I would probably quadruple the number of roaches as soon as I could. You really don't have the overhead for it right now, so you probably overbuilt a little bit too many lings, because they're going to have blue flame hellions. I can see it right there, right? They already have it. If they're going mech, they're going to get blue flame hellions. It's a good way to protect their Thors. They're going to get tanks. They're going to get Thors. They're going to probably get ravens. They're probably going to get. They're going to probably eventually transition into BCs. They're going to be very slow, other than the hellions. So what you want to do is you want to take advantage of that. What can't do that? A Muto run by here, killing this missile turret, or killing like 4 or 5 workers. 4 or 5 workers. 4 or 5 workers getting out, or maybe even keeping the threat. Making it so the Banshees are totally useless because they can't get to your stuff is really annoying. A move. At this point, you see blue flame Hellbats and Hellions. You literally just stop building lings unless you are setting up a run by, and you don't ever want to have any more than like 20. So straight up roaches at this point. Hydra is not a bad choice. Remember, you need creep to inject, so these queens are basically fat weight. I would not send them out here to fight this. Man, I do really like the Viper play. That was really good. You got a Thor. But if you look at the losses, it's astronomically against you. These queens should never have made it off the creep. Your creep should continue to spread. You should have a multiple layers of roaches on the way. Your production is 6 ultras, 22 lings. Lings are dead, useless. You killed a lot of the Hellbats. There's 3 left. Thors still do really, really well against ultras. I would not do that. I would probably just build straight roaches. That would have been a better composition. Just remax and smash into that army again, because it takes forever to build mech units. There's a lot of tanks. They moved them all forward. So, like, send a pack of roaches over here, the rest of them over here. Or send some lings over here, because you want to use that mobility. You don't want to lose those lings. And then you use the roaches and ultras on the front line. Again, I probably would go against ultras. Ultras aren't that great in this situation. Just like I wouldn't send. You need to put in 2 army groups. The Banes did really well against it, but once you get into the tank composition, you're not going to run into it. And they got a 4th base. They're just you're just all kinds of trouble. And you want to make them so that they're spread out. Right now, they are 100% tanking right here. Did you test this wall at all? Where are your ling? That's what your lings are for. You go out and run at them and do a little bit of damage. You have nothing to deal with these Banshees. You're 100% ground-based. Okay, fine, you have Vipers, but you're also 100% ground-based, and those Vipers, you'd have to explicitly focus on killing those. I like the Raven play. He actually did a really good job of giving you the armor loss. Ultralisk, no, don't pull away back like that. Pull over here where it's weaker. Again, you're just smashing wave after wave into him, and you're not being very efficient. You are doing a good job of keeping his army count down, but he has his 5th base already constructed. He's got planetary on his 4th. He's got enough mules. He's going to max out. It's just a matter of when and what composition you're going to deal with. The Banshees are the really scary part here, because your army is going to be primarily like roaches and ground units. This, also, nice way to scare him. I saw him jump. These Banshees are going to tear apart bases. You need to have at least 3 or 4 spores on every base with this many Banshees, or you need to have mutas available, or Hydra. Like, Hydras even wouldn't be good. Corruptors, maybe. Like, and then you throw away units like that when you don't have units to throw away. Like, this is why these are so powerful. And you were really late on these. He's going to kill all of them, or your opponent is going to just murder all those. You can't do anything about it. You're just in trouble. Spread your creep. Spread your creep. You can't. Don't even bother. Spread your creep. Where are you going, queens? Also, you lost all your queens and you didn't remake them. I do like the Nidus Worm network across the map. I do like the continued expansion. That's a really, really good idea. It makes it so that you're able to position yourself effectively. Your opponent's going to clean up all this creep that's here. I like the re-expand. I do like the queens on this side, but I would have expanded from this side as well. I would be throwing down spore crawlers just randomly all over the place just to be majorly annoying. And then be ready, because your opponent's probably going to go BC at some point. That is a normal transition for, and you can see I'm getting all these tech labs, a normal transition for Mech, because what they do is they do a really, really good job of defending, and doing trade-offs. And then they go out, do a massive push, force you to have enough army on the ground, and you'll be like roach stacked, which is what you should be. Like, you don't have enough roaches in this composition at all. The number of tanks they have, and the number of Thors they have, and the number of fire bats they have, or hellbats rather. Fire bats, oh man. Plus, like, you're just in all kinds of trouble with regards to trying to push into this location. So push into this location. That being said, now they have a planetary there. If you had kept hitting over here and made this wall not ever real, you could have really pushed your opponent into a bad situation. At this point, you have really no good place other than maybe this planetary that you could fight. So what you're really looking at is a bunch of banelings crashing in over here inefficiently, defending the, like, you can't let your opponent get this far. This game's over. Like, your opponent has too much efficiency on you, has too big of an army, has too many bases, does not care at all where you are, what are you doing. He's just going to kill all your stuff with all these banshees and laugh. So your army composition needs to become much more complicated. Banelings are really good for smash and grabs. So, like, if he ever tries to take this base, that's a great place for your banelings to go as he's trying to do it. Otherwise, no. The Corruptors, they're used explicitly to kill these banshees, and then what you want to do is you want to spit on this planetary, which I know you don't know is there, so you need to scout better on what your opponent's front line looks like. You can't always hit this most furthest pushed out location, and he's using that as his jump point, so you need to have an army constantly over here, or much more static D if you want to hold onto this base. You're going to lose it otherwise. You need to use this Nidus appropriately to handle it, and you're just not doing that. So basically you have this army, and you're like, I'll just lose this base, even though the army is right there. I have this other army that's over here, and you're just like, why would blue flame Hellions against Zerglings? We can't. That's just not the right play. This army should literally be right here on the top of the ramp so that they can't do a run-by on you. This is a great pull. I would have left this army over there. The reason being is this army composition is big enough and strong enough to deal with it. Again, banelings are used to break bases. Like this base, you want to do that. Otherwise, not really. Also, a Nidus right here would be really powerful. Just like put your Overseer here, drop a Nidus right inside of his base, unload, and then you're good to go. You've spent a lot on that, and they're just not there. Zerg Carapace 3, nice, missile, parasite. The other thing you want to do is, with your Vipers, give the... Oh god, what is the name of the ability? The one that allows you to hit all of them and just straight up kill them all. You have to fight together. You cannot fight like that. You're going to lose a lot of stuff. Like, this army has to be... Okay. If you're trying to deny this base... Oh my god, look how much power he's got here. You've given him so much time that he just has all of the bases. So... Roaches, Ravengers, and then you bile down all of these things, or you go in with a bunch of Ultras and you kill it. Like, you're just in a situation where you've let your opponent do whatever they want for so long because you were just letting them do it. Oh man, get that kill. Kill those. Kill all those. Kill those. No, don't let them run away. Kill them. Notice how the only units that survived are the Ultras. You're basically trading planetaries for Ling's Banes while keeping most of your Ultras. I like this burrow. This is really good. You're doing a lot of damage. Your opponent has already amassed a massive game-ending push army. You now have the army to, like, end their production and end the game, but you have to be able to defeat this army. Also, I would probably have tried to get inside if I could. Like, all the way in. That way you know how many bases they have. You want to be able to find that information out. Make sure you queue them around a little bit. Burrow another one. Just be annoying. If you're maxed out, your army should be getting ready to trade out. That's the thought process, generally speaking, is Zerg. You want to make sure that you have enough larvae to remax. As soon as you have enough larvae, which you have 32, so if you do 32 times 6, or 2, you now have 64 supply. Means you can sacrifice 64 supply and get roaches remax, or mix with ultras and all that kind of stuff, or you have 6,000 minerals, so you could do a lot of lings and stuff like that, and you do run-bys wherever this army isn't. The other bit is Vipers. If you had oh god, what is the ability from the Viper? Sorry, I didn't mean to get away from that. Also, I love the Infestor Neural Parasite. It's so good. You have to take the Thors and have them attack each other. Otherwise, you're gonna lose them very, very quickly, and you're gonna get in trouble because now they have what, 8 Thors, some repair stuff, some tanks, and all these Banshees. Which you did a good job clearing out the Banshees, but like, imagine if you had taken the Thor count down to 2, and then you re-attacked with all of these units combined with roaches, right? If you had all these corruptors just coming out here, killing all the high value stuff, making it so that the Banshee count just drops, attack them at the same time. So all of your Lings, roaches, ultras have to attack at the same time. Like, your units... Banelings against Thor. I wish people would trade like that with me. Oh my goodness. Please, give me that all day long. Good job. Now all these, run them away, and then run them up, and then, like, kill buildings with your breath and stuff like that. Shut down any income, shut down reinforcements that are flight, etc. Where's your roaches? Where's your roaches? Where's your roaches? Do you even have a roach one? B. Oop, not B, back. Building structures. Where are structures? T. There's Ultra. You don't have a roach horn. Oh, there you have a roach horn. Why didn't you use your roaches? You've had them the whole time. I mean, I guess you're trying to do a composition play. God, these Lings aren't doing anything for you. Yeah, he's got so many Thors. Like, you can't fight that. God, if you had roaches, this Thor count would eventually become meaningless. It would not matter. God. So, denying the third is super important. You need to have a roach swell strong enough to deny it. You're going to want enough to be able to kill Hellions, and you just need to make sure they don't get their third. If you can contain them on 3 base, they will struggle. If they get to 3 bases, cool. Make sure you max out, and then smash into the third or into the front door, checking to see whatever's weakest. Send a Ling or 2 in front, see what happens with the armies, and then or split push. And then whatever one is the harder hit one that you're losing, pull back. This side you did not test for so very long, and it would have been so much easier to get in. And you would have done very, 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 very well with that. I would adjust your army composition and get more gas a little bit earlier. You were in a situation where you were gas starved and had 6,000 minerals at the end of the game. So if you know, once you have identified that it's mech, because you know that you're going to have to build roaches, you know you're going to have to build ravengers, you know you're going to have to build vipers to use their parasitic bomb, that's the name. You're going to have to build the infestors so that you can either grab the Hellions while they're trying to do run-bys, or so that you can do Neural Parasite, or to grab all the Banshees and stuff. You know you're going to be spending a lot more gas. So as soon as you identify that they're going mech, make an adjustment to your build. Get more gas, a lot more gas. Stop building Lings unless you want to do Banelings and or Ling run-bys. Don't do a lot of them, just enough to keep them honest, and making it very difficult for them to move out. While they're not moving out, you need to take the entirety of the map and you need to build forests of spore crawlers for Banshees around each one of the bases, like 3 to 4 minimum, if not more. Imagine if you had that 6,000 minerals transformed into maybe 20 or 30 spores, and you mixed in a lot more roaches. Like, your army would be so much more dangerous to deal with. Your upgrades were really good. I really liked your control was okay. I think that your MMR is carried a little bit with you doing a lot of F2ing, because I saw like you pulled the army from over here and over here to respond to an army that was in between, when you should have just pulled the army that was over here. And you kind of positioned your defensive forces a little bit far back, so that there was run-bys that you didn't see until they literally were hitting your base down in this corner. So like just working on kind of where you're going to position things would help delay would make it so you don't have as long of a delay to responding and or losses on your income. Like the loss on your income on the gold 2 or 3 times when you could have literally just had an ultra, like an ultra and 5 roaches right here. You're so much better off. And maybe like 4 corruptors, right? Like that combination, you're going to be really, really dangerous. You didn't really threaten the main. Like you had Niduses, but you didn't ever use it to get inside their base. Imagine if you got inside their base with a Nidus and 25 to 30 lings, decimated their income, decimated production, getting rid of all the add-ons, and then forcing your opponent to do more than just half ring. Like his turrets were like way back here, and you can literally park an Overlord right here and get a Nidus down right there, and he can't stop you until it's too late. He has to see it on the mini-map, and a lot of players at this level can't do anything about it. Like this, just checking this wall, you see it, you know it's weak, attack it. Like, push it once you like, yeah, this army's in between, but you can swing over here, get inside with lings, you can attack over here when the tank's repositioned to prevent that. Just be annoying with like 10 lings, just like this many lings, right? Just the ling count you have right now, just go, okay, I built my harass units. Rally them right into his mineral line. Ignore them. If they get damage done, hell yeah. If they don't, okay. Go to a different location. Hit right there. You also could take a bunch of roaches. Roaches do not care about tanks if you have Ravengers with them. So if you had like probably 6 to 8 Ravengers and about 20 roaches instead of all these lings, because look at all that. I want you to look at the gas count right now. Well, a moment ago, it was 800. We're talking like you have, at this point, 800 gas, and you have 2 pages of links. You're at 40 links. That should have been all roaches. And you have all these Banes, and you could have made it all roaches. Your army would have not been able to be stopped. You could have just shoved right through, killed the 2 tanks. Okay, fine, you have to worry about the Banshees, but you could have killed this entire base, got up the front door, killed this Thor, and theoretically blocked the natural, and you've already won the game. Heck, even if you... like, oh, man. Imagine you have 12 larvae, and you have 44 lings. So you actually have 34 roaches here. And if you transition the cash back and forth, you would easily be able to have just killed your opponent with just roaches at this point in the game. At 8 minutes, you just like try to max out on roaches instead of building all those lings. And you had Ravengers mixed in. The Ravengers, you buy all down the tanks, and the roaches, you just A-move. And this game would have just been completely over by 8 minutes. Because your opponent does not have the army composition. Okay, they have the 3 Banshees, fine. They don't have the army composition to protect their third base and keep their army alive without having a huge loss at the front. And then what you do is you just remax on... And during that fight, you put down a Spire, build a handful of mutas, remax on roaches, attack again to recrush the army so that there's no Thor, and then you use mutas to kill everything else, all the Banshees, and kill him the rest of the way. I also like the Changelings. I also suggest throwing them like places... Like, don't put them on top of each other. It's really... I know it's annoying. It's a lot of extra actions. Fine. Throwing away your queens was really bad. Like, queens... I don't know if you know this, but when they updated recently, about 4 months ago, maybe 6 months ago in that area, where if the queens are not on creep, they cannot do their transfusions. So you basically never want your queens to leave creep ever, so you need to have creep highways everywhere. Also, make sure you continue to expand your creep. Like, I'm going to pause this for a second because I want to kind of point out some things here. You have these 5 queens with about half energy on them. You don't have a queen here. There's no inject. There's no queen here. There's no inject. No queen here. No inject. No queen here. No inject. No queen here. No inject. No queen over here. No queen over... And this queen did not inject yet. You have 26 larvae. You are about to throw away most of your army, and you have about 1,000. The number of larvae that you have currently is okay for this round of push. As Zerg, when you get close to max, you're going to be thinking about hitting your opponent not this wave, not the next wave, but the third wave after that. These queens have no reason to be away from all of the hatches, and your creep, you only have one creep tumor per lane that you're pushing. This is one creep tumor. Imagine if you had 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Imagine instead of losing that one creep tumor here, you had like 8 creep tumors. And 8 over here. You'd be able to, and then if you had like 4 over here, you could have 1 go up high, 1 go down low, 2 go down low, 2 go up high. You could have 2 go more over here, 2 getting ready to go over here. You could have 2 or 3 lined up right here. You could have 2 that are going this way, 2 this way. You could have like 4 here. You could have 2 going this way, 2 going this way. You could have, instead of these just 2, you'd have, like 6 in this area, 2 or 3 over here. If you had built more queens, just straight up more queens, you would be able to spread your creep way faster, have creep literally covering the entire map. So to get to this base, which they did not expand towards, or this base, which they did not expand towards, there would be creep literally up to his door with like 20 creep tumors. And you just use the quick cast ability to make it so you go way faster and spread it much, much quicker. But it makes it so like you would know if you had this base. You also have this base already ready to go with creep attached from down here all the way up there because you have 30 creep tumors. Well, not that many. That's probably too many. You have 10 creep tumors that are spreading the creep over here. 5 over here. 5 to 10 over here. 5 to 10 over here. 5 to 10 over here. And so your queen count is just too low. Also, when you saw the Banshee count, you didn't compensate. You didn't change your build. I actually like this Banling run by. That was a really good idea. And then this army should be going... Did I miss this? This should follow up. Why is it not already attacking? This army should like, you should have had it already attacking at the same time. But imagine if it was more roaches. I don't know if I'd do a run by. I'd kill those tanks. Those tanks are far too valuable. Any tank you can get your hands on, kill them. Because they're expensive. Gas is the problem for Mech. So if you can make it so that their gas is already completely destroyed, like any gas unit, you kill it. Any gas geyser, you destroy the workers on it, you destroy the building. You slow them down in those positions, and they're really in trouble. What else can other concepts to think about? Once you hit about 90 workers, don't build more. Unless only build more if you're building specific buildings to do that. You just need to make sure that they're properly spread out. And you need to make sure that you're on top of managing their like specific location. I know that's really weird. And then like your follow up, right? You're already remaxed. Why aren't you killing him again? There's so much time. You're giving him the ability to reset himself. You did really well over here. Why didn't you continue your pressure over here? Like this area, you did god awful. And yet you kept attacking that position. Over here, you got in and started doing damage to the natural. And I know that you didn't look at the fight, all that kind of stuff, fine. But like, take a moment to assess where you did the most damage and do it again. Or do it in a different location. Like this is also, I mean, you did a really good job of getting his unit count down. I really like it. But like at this point, he's got 3 tanks sieged. He has the planetary up here. You didn't test him again. You only hit him on one side. You did get his unit count really down. Like, you hurt him really badly. He's at 78 army, but you're at 68 army. And you don't have a bank to throw. Man, I wish you put a Nidus right in his base. Because you put an Overlord right here. You could put it right there. Put it right there. Put Overlord there. Go there. Go there. Your Overlord could actually sneak all the way up here. You could put it in the least convenient place. Drop 10 or 20 lings. Maybe even 10 roaches instead. And then send this army as he unsieges to go protect and just crush this base, right? Like, you're almost a GM, so your play needs to be focused on 2 fronts. You can't just hit the same front over and over and over again. You can't also, like, you F2'd this army. You know it was Banshees. You saw it was Bansheed. And then you're like, let me just send my entire ground-based force over there. Well, that entire ground-based army completely deletes this wall or deletes most of this army, and those Banshees aren't there to help. So what are we going to do? We're going to just sit there and put Niduses around the map. This army go crush and destroy this base. Make it so that it can't recover. And that way, the Banshees, they got to fight against Corruptors or Mutas. And that's all he has for a long while. Also, those Niduses in his base would be so mean. Just like, if you just dropped like this many Lings, maybe this few, and you just got a Nidus in there and you went, let me just dump it in your base. His army is nowhere near here. Look, he's got one door open. He has a very terrible SimCity where it's really hard to get out. He doesn't have any units that are able to stop the Nidus going up. He probably would have been distracted by you putting him, like if you put like one somewhere around and didn't put it like this first one, and then you took, also these drones need to be unloaded. My goodness. You have so much income potential that you're not doing anything with. There you go. Like, that's a long time to have them doing nothing. I would honestly run them across the map instead. Depends on how active your opponent is, blah, 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 blah. Spread your creep, spread your creep, spread your creep, spread your creep. You want the creep to be up to his doorstep all the way. You want it to be as annoying as possible. You want to deny bases. You want to make sure that you have full knowledge of exactly which direction your army is going to be, they're coming from. All right, you tested there, it failed. Attack a different location. Also, you need, like, imagine if you had creep. Creep, 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 creep. This army only, I like it. I like this army. No, fight that! Ah! But, like, there's just little things, little tweaks here and there. This Roach army, or the Corruptor army, God, it just wanders off. Where's your Ling? If you had Lings, why aren't you tracking stuff with them? Or your creep everywhere. I know he scanned and pushed you back a lot. I know. I feel like there's a lot of opportunities for you to do really, really good things to beat a mech player. I would be very conscientious about, I'm going to hit you with this wave, and then I'm going to hit you with this wave, and then I'm going to hit you with this wave, and then I'm going to hit you with this wave. And if the first wave isn't very successful, go somewhere else. The second one's not very successful, and you hit the same spot, go to somewhere else. Or maybe change how you're going to approach. Where's your roach war? Like, where's your army composition change to roaches? You've had that the whole time. Why didn't you do a Muta swap? Why didn't you, obviously against Thor, you don't want to do Muta swap. I'm just simply saying earlier you had the opportunity when he had no turrets, where he only had one Thor, where you could have hit with a bunch of roaches, or hit with a bunch of Lings, and then had Mutas fly into his main. And now your roaches, or your Lings had killed off the Thor, and your Mutas just have free reign on an opponent. Like, you didn't take advantage of the entirety of what your army could do. You pretty much just focused on, I need to attack the front, I need to reduce his army. And then you didn't follow up to do damage with the second wave. It takes much, much, much longer for Mech to rebuild than it does for Zerg. So if you had hit if you had maxed out, built a bank of like 3,000 resources, 4,000 resources in that area, taken that full max out of Roaches, Ravengers against your opponent, followed it up with another wave of Roach Ravengers, and then in the meantime, and then the third wave, which you should have that many injects flowing, was Lings, you could have theoretically just killed him around that 8-minute mark. If you had swapped, Roaches didn't work the first time, let's go Muta, because they're going to have a ton of tanks, they're going to have a ton of Banshees, they're going to have a bunch of, you know what I mean, like, or that third wave, instead of having it being Roach, a bunch of Lings, build Mutas instead, and make it so that you have a composition that is going to go after your opponent in a different axes of how you've been attacking. You attacked him with the same composition every time, you had the same structure of units every time, other than the Corruptors, which he put in really, really late. At that point, he had so many Banshees that he was building Ravens to help protect them. He had enough Thors that he could protect them with the Ravens. You got yourself in a bind where you weren't able to, you didn't tweak yourself for your opponent, and you didn't throw different things at your opponent, right? Oh, here's a Ling Bane army. They built a bunch of Hellbats, and they built a bunch of tanks. Here's some Mutas, right? Totally different swap on them. That's Zerg's power, is hitting this tech, this tech, this tech, right after the other, and then with enormous numbers every time, even though they're weaker. Here's 50 Roaches, here's 150 Ling, or 50 Roaches, here's 100 Lings, here's 20 Mutas, here's 100 Lings, here's 50 Roaches, and you just smash them with that stuff, and you just use the spellcasters to kill off the units that are super efficient, like tanks. You don't, this match becomes trivial. Regardless, I really appreciate the submission. I saw that the first comment had a whole bunch of games that they dropped. I have a feeling I'm going to go through quite a few of those so that way you can see what those look like, because I think this is a really good, a really hard concept to see without visualizing what happens when you kind of do those kind of things. And then when you were really high on your bank of minerals, you didn't check all your gases and then fill them all up and then make sure that you had all of them built. You were missing some, just so you know. I literally just looked at it. I see 1, 2 that is built that doesn't have any workers on it. I see 4 empty locations. I see 2 that are undersaturated. 4 undersaturated. More than that. It's 10 of them undersaturated, and you had 6,000 minerals and only 200 gas. And you didn't say, "Oh, I need to rebalance my resources." You didn't look at that and say, "Oh, crud, I have to build a bunch of lings. I need to figure out where my gas is or where it's coming from." That all being said, good game. I really look forward to what else you would bring out, and I hope to cast another one for you. See you next time.